So to fill in the gap that we just left, so Elizabeth Cady Stanton comes along. She has this idea. She sees sort of the issues of women. I mean, she's got her own issues. Her older brother died, and her father wanted a son, and so she was trying to fill that space, but couldn't do it. She had an overbearing mother. I mean, there's all these details that I go into in the book. But she's also in New York at this time when the Second Great Awakening is going on, and there's seances and mediums happening kind of all over, and there's this new way in which the women in particular are communicating with the spirits, and it's through this knocking on these particular tables, and so they're called spirit tables because that's where they would operate and they would conjure up the spirits, and the spirits would give them answers.
This is wild.
Yeah.
These women are thought to be saints in secular America.
Yeah. No, her spirit table is actually in the Smithsonian too. Yeah. Same table.
And do they comment on what it is? Yeah,
I don't think so.
They just call it a spirit table?
It's just called the spirit table.
Wild.
And it's phenomenal too, because the other thing that happens is they take men completely out of the picture with this spiritual world. They don't need a pastor anymore. They don't, they can get all the answers that they need from the knocking on the table, which
sounds legitimate.
Very legitimate.
Doesn't it? No, I mean it. What I mean is it sounds like a legitimate supernatural experience.
Oh, I think it absolutely was. And it took over the country, it was like wildfire, because you have to remember, the Civil War just happened. So you have all these dead men, and you also have, as I was doing this research, like so many dead children just dying from cholera and malaria and, tuberculosis, you name it, just like that. They were there one day and they were gone the next day from these diseases. And so you have just this trail of brokenness between all these deaths. And so people were really anxious, like, what did he say? They want to know what happened to their loved one who died on the battlefield, or, all of that. And so it was just that, that opportunity, right, that really, I think, led people to trust in it. And, we know that it's obviously not coming from God. But I think it was a very legitimate, spiritual
And this
experience.
is the thing, right? If you have a Christian worldview, as we do, Thomas Aquinas in the Contra Gentiles, I think, talks about people believing in many gods, and these many gods were demons. That's who they were.
Yeah.
And so we have the heroes of American feminism communing with demons.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not even hiding it. Not even.
No. And Cady Stanton was very much she was raised Calvinist, and she abandoned that. She was very active in anti-Christian kinds of work. She had kind of a real antipathy towards it. And that comes through in her book, The Woman's Bible, where, it's sort of like, if you read it, you can still get it today. If you read it, it sort of feels like your angry teenager sort of commenting on, how women are treated in the Old Testament and thereon. And it's just,
and when you read
sad.
it, do you get the sense that, yes, she's right, she has some points, or no?
No. And in fact, between that and another scandal that happened, she actually got thrown out of her own organization because she was just so toxic. And, I think the other part of her work was, of course, Susan B. Anthony. And right. Susan B. Anthony was very much just a mouthpiece for Cady Stanton. There's, Cady Stanton was busy home with her children, and Susan B. Anthony wasn't married and didn't have children. And so she was the one that could go out and travel. And she was very involved. I mean, she actually at one point said something effective, I wish the demons would come speak through me, or the spirits would come speak through me, because she had a hard time public speaking sometimes. So, so it's very much part of their culture.
Here's what you write. Spiritualism spread like wildfire. Estimates have ranged from 2 million adherents before the Civil War to close to 7 million after. And here's a quote from a reporter from the New York Times. Judging from its rapid extension and widespread effects, it seems to be the new, what does that word mean? Muhammad. Okay. Is that what that means? Yeah. Of the social antichrist overrunning the world.
Yeah.
My goodness. And then this, I don't know what this quote was from, but I found it really interesting. Feminism is the infidelity to male supremacy, which officially began as an organized movement at Seneca Falls, New York, 1848. Spiritualism, the direct communication with the spirit world, which profoundly subverted organized religion, began with the Fox family, rappings, gosh, that would be terrifying, in 1848. And free love, the infidelity to the primary social institution, the family. So it's like an unholy trinity of sorts that overthrows the order of the world. Because I think the etymology of hierarchy means holy order, doesn't it? I know that anarchy, you can look that up if you don't mind. I don't know. Yeah, and the opposite of hierarchy isn't peace, it's anarchy.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so that's our founding mothers. And founding mothers.
I guess this guy likes free love. Self made that comment. I agree with it. It seems like it. What do you think, Shane? Anything?
Yeah, it does. Those women were crazy.
Yes, they were.
Like if you read that book, some of the things they were saying, you know.
Now, if memory serves, I could have sworn that a lot of that movement came out of the Communist Party. So,
well, part of it started out of abolitionists. The group, you know, they were doing the abolitionist slavery thing, and they were like a splinter group, you know. The Seneca Falls, which is like the first feminist conference, it was you know, the famous black civil rights guy with the hair, you know, and that was his idea.
Oh, do you want to?
They were supposed to speak at some convention and they couldn't come. And he said, well, why don't you have another one, you know, just for women?
Yes. And do you want to tell everybody what the abolition, say it again, please.
It was the abolition of slavery.
Huh?
The abolition of slavery, but which was based on using Christianity and the Bible to oppose slavery.
Thank you. I wanted you to explain that for anybody who was watching, who might not have known.
But it was an international movement. I mean, it was in the UK and America. It was a very the song. Do you ever the hymn "Amazing Grace"?
Yes, of course.
That was the abolitionist theme song.
Oh.
And the person in the song was a former slave trader who he worked on slave ships, and he had a conversion, and he sold and freed his slaves, and he gave away all his money, and he became a priest. And he wrote that song, and he taught a lot of people and spoke against it. And there was a very interesting guy called Wilberforce, right? And he led the campaign. Well, actually, Americans should know him. He led the campaign to end the war against America and recognize the United States.
And there we go. Quite the history lesson that we are getting from our historian and favorite Irishman. And
then he led the abolition campaign.
Yes.
And he started with things like they did boycotts of sugar because if sugar was made from sugar plantations with slaves, you know, or tea and all of these things. It took about 20 years.
Yeah, that's a long time. But considering everything moved by ship and whatnot, of course it had to be. So.
And because it was serious. But although the British had a very different method than in the United States, the government bought all the slaves and granted them freedom. And they compensated the slave owners. The British taxpayer finished paying it off in 2015.
Wow, 2015. That's a long ass time, dude. Self-made says boycotts of sugar. That sounds horrible. Yes, it does, because sugar's in everything, especially here in America, unfortunately.
Yeah,
including all of your your sauces and your salad dressings where it shouldn't really be, but it is. And so we would really be up the creek without a paddle if we didn't have all that sugar, huh? No more sodas or anything.
I think back then it was probably only in tea and desserts.
It was back then, correct. But now it's in everything because, well, you know, put sugar in everything. Well, one, it's a preservative. Number two, it helps make everybody dependent. So, of course, why not? Then let's hit play one last time and finish this lady.
And what was so what about these two women, Anthony and
Katie Stanton?
Are they practicing so-called free love and that sort of?
No, I don't. I think Katie Stanton, I had the impression, was monogamous and probably not very happy in her marriage. And Susan B. Anthony never married. That's actually one of the interesting things. Her biographer spent 4 days burning her papers. So there's a lot of content that we don't have about her anymore, which is also kind of a weird thing to do. Like, what was being hidden? And there's some intimations that she might have been a lesbian. I mean, it's sort of one of those things to not read between the lines. And I didn't put it in the book because I didn't feel like I had it substantiated sufficiently.
Good for you.
But there's
good for you in the sense that you don't want to overstate your case and get something wrong and be discredited.
Exactly.
Hierarchy comes from hieros, meaning supernatural or holy, and archos, meaning ruler. Sorry.
Yeah. So feminism.
Yeah. So it starts in ecclesiastical.
Yeah.
It starts in ecclesiastical and was extended to governmental because we use similar words like diakonos for, like how Caesar is referred to as diakonos in Romans, that kind of thing. So that's how it expanded to meaning in more in secular world.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The 60s, or am I moving too quick?
I would only just flag that, the dramatic communist revolution in, what's happening. But much of it coming from Thomas Paine again. He's sort of considered the first socialist, and you've got all these real changes happening on, the world stage in terms of the role that communism is playing and the way in which, if you look at the Soviet socialist revolution, you can see what happens to women in that. They go to work, their children are being taken care of by somebody else, and abortion is, you can get as many as you want.
And what you just said about Marxism and its effects is what we live in America. Women go to work, someone looks after their kids, and abortion.
Yeah. So we've all been made.
The state raises your children. Absolutely.
There were so many abortions in the Soviet Union that Stalin had to ban them.
Really?
Yeah, they were cutting. He needed people. It was he put a woman in charge of all policy to do with women, and she tried to get them, into abortion and to try break them from tradition, and she banned religion. Another thing that Stalin had to bring back.
Wow.
But she was one of those people that was trying to save the poor peasants from their own ignorance,
Yeah, from their own ignorance, right? Yeah, I'm always trying to save them. They're always trying to save them, right? Because you just don't know the way to salvation, and without me, you're doomed.
Oh yeah. And sorry, there was always, you see with these cults, they always have these big plans that seem to not work out. And it's always never the leader's fault. It's always the followers who fail to, believe or to do the job right,
Correct. Sorry, somebody sent me a message and made me giggle. Sorry. Stop that. All right. Are you ready for the next one?
Sure.
Psychology of Occult. I escaped the progressive far left. My God, I'm going to get into trouble for this stuff tonight, aren't I? Let's rock and roll, baby.
Far left has become a cult. We're going to get deep in this video, guys. So if you're gay, grab your tea. If you're straight, grab some popcorn. I don't know what straight people do. Do you remember about 15, 20 years ago, Green Day made a song called American Idiot?
She doesn't know what straight people do. I like to slap her. That's what straight people do. How about that? Yeah, I noticed that the other woman that they were talking about in the previous video, they mentioned that she was also more than likely a lesbian. So she was batting for the other team. So now we see where some of that attraction of bash men that I completely don't agree with at all comes from. Yes, and
did you know that 70s or 60s and 70s one, Andrea Dworkin? You know about her?
No, it doesn't ring a bell. No.
Well, she was very, very anti-man and she was sort of a militant lesbian, but her theory was that all sex is grape.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
Oh no, she was a nut, but she sort of took over feminism.
Wow. Okay, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to. I don't want to become unradio friendly, so I'm going to watch what I say on that. But yeah,
Yeah, we better.
Yeah, no, thank you to that. And just as Self said, she has a lazy eye, and then Barry Geekler's like, she has a nice mustache. Has she not heard of waxing or laser hair removal, ma'am?
Now she's from San
very
Francisco.
affordable. Let's hear what this broad who says she doesn't know what straight people do. So slap her upside the head.
Do you remember the lines? Don't want to be an American idiot. Don't want a nation under the new media. And can you hear the sound of hysteria? The subliminal mind. America. Green Day knew 15 years ago. They knew this was happening. And people these days are still falling for it. To be specific, a cult is a group of people that is defined by its religious or philosophical beliefs or a common interest or goal. But it's extremely important to remember that not everybody joins a cult, or probably most people don't join a cult willingly. The types of people who run said cults are destructive, toxic, manipulative, and they prey on the vulnerable. People with learning disorders, with autism, people who need to feel validated constantly. In fact, the people that display these distinct personality types are the most likely to join a cult. Those who want to feel validated, which is about 95% of the left at this point. I mean, we literally have articles about trans women breastfeeding. It's a real thing that's happening. Those who are seeking an identity. 100 new genders and sexual orientations daily. Spot on so far. When you feel like you don't...
I mentioned that earlier, but I just didn't list the cult. I said, yeah, 1,000,001 different identities, sexes, and everything else coming down. You can be an alien with purple polka dots and a tail and a unicorn horn coming out of
I heard that there's a woman being sued for saying men can't get periods.
Really?
They're suing her.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that thing will come to an abrupt stop and sued. I'm noticing other countries are also starting to step away from it and ban a lot of that movement.
Yeah, they banned puberty blockers in the UK a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think 4 other European countries, the most liberal ones.
I sure hope they do it here. If you're an adult and you want to do that stuff, rock it. Do it. But don't fuck around with our kids. I said it first.
Have an identity, you will latch onto any movement that you feel will be inclusive to you. But before I dive any deeper into this topic, I just want to say a big thank you to our sponsor for today's video, Eve's Toys. They have been sponsoring this channel for over 7 years, and they have always made us feel included. Eve's Toys was created to empower and inspire women through their sexuality. They have 24-hour customer service. They have discreet packaging. And amazingly, 20% of their profits go to the prevention of HIV around the world. Please go and support companies that support this channel and support bettering the world as a whole. You can go to evestoys.com and use my code Ariel5 for 50% off almost any one item on the entire website and free shipping on orders over $20 in the United States. Of course, certain exclusions apply. Okay, back to the video. Remember, people who are lacking an identity need somebody to teach them how to live, how to be, how to think. And the cult helps you decide all of those things. Number 3, those who are followers and not leaders. This is what everyone on the right or the middle mean when we say that no one on the far left are free thinkers. They are simply followers. They are not leaders. They don't ever think for themselves, and if they did, they would be kicked out of the cult. Those who constantly blame others. We see this over and over and over again with progressives in the far left. In other words, people that have no responsibility and no personal accountability for their...
Barry Geekler says dildos for freedom. That's great. I appreciate that sense of humor, sir.
actions and personal life choices. Like the people that blame the unvaccinated for the economy issues, or those who blame Trump for literally everything, even though he hasn't been in office for over 1.5 years now. It's important to note that blaming in itself is not cultist. It's actually about how it's delivered and why it's delivered. And it's done for a very specific reason. It keeps the members occupied. It makes them have a common enemy so they don't stray and start thinking for themselves. Again, people want to be a part of a community. This isn't rocket science. The independency threatens the group if the group is aiming to control those who are always angry.
I'm sorry about that. Let me get it. I'll get up here until I can get it queued off of that. I hope everybody's enjoying the content tonight. And I hope it helps somebody now and in the future, if they are facing any of these issues, that they can get their mind freed from all of it. Yes, I'm a dreamer.
You're not the only one.
I know, right? They're singing the Monkeys song.
Need I say more? Those who have a very
Deranged syndrome. They're all fucking deranged. Did you see that? That's derangement.
Crazy. That
Those
woman,
are all-
the
Go ahead.
large woman, she was screaming at Steven Crowder, I think.
I saw that. Screaming Beagle has just came in. This has made me decide to detransition. Welcome in, Screaming Beagle. We welcome you in. We appreciate you. Please hit the like. Please subscribe. You're going to enjoy the content coming up. We're going to do a little more on this type of stuff. We're going to do stuff on men's health. I'm very interested in all that type of stuff and helping people. But I had another thought, but after I welcomed him in, I just forgot what I was going to say. Anyways, I'm going to hit play.
very low self-esteem. Yeah, that's another one. I think we see the lack of self-worth being obvious when the left says things like Dave Chappelle is punching down on trans people. But the thing is, wouldn't punching down means that they themselves see themselves as being lower than or being less than other people? When you don't know who you are or believe in a higher purpose, you tend to ask yourself things like, why am I here? What am I doing? What do I offer to the world? Barry Weiss said it perfectly when she was on Ben Shapiro a few weeks ago.
Oh, this is what I was going to say. All of these people that you are looking at would have been in institutions back in the day. Back in the day, actually, liberalism was considered a mental illness, just so everybody knows this. And until Reagan, the son of a bitch, emptied out all of the institutions, and that's why you see so many crazy people and homeless people in the streets, especially in my neck of the woods of California. They would also still be in those institutions where they belong. However, now we're here. And they're all out. And it's the insane asylum and the inmates running the insane asylum. Yes. No, thank you. What is this 2 and 1? What are we doing? 1, spam 1 for a bikini stream. 2 for Uncle Guns in a bikini. 2. I want to see Uncle Guns. Now, you know, months ago when I first started meeting him and he put in there, if we can get the chat and the likes to such and such of a number, he promised he was going to get in little bikini shorts, and he was going to post that picture, and he never did it.
Oh my God.
Sir, I have a good memory. Where's that shot?
They were talking about leftists and why wokeism is so popular, and she said this.
I believe that the surge of this and the reason especially that so many young people are drawn to it is crisis of meaning and the death of God in this country. Like, I just really believe that people are searching for some moral purpose to their life, the sense of being part of a coalition of the righteous, sense of being on the right side of history.
I've spoken about this before, but I wanted to include this clip because I think she said this better than I have. As you guys know, I am very spiritual. I am not religious. I do believe in a higher power, in a higher being that connects us all, so to speak. I believe in souls, in energy, in life lessons. And honestly, it wasn't until I found that deeper meaning that I was able to live a fuller, more calm life. That's just the truth.
All of the things that we used to get from other structures that because of, you know, let's be honest, like many of the fallouts of things like globalization and tech and the rest, you know, they're so much bigger than we have time for in this conversation, have led people sort of grasping for meaning.
Wow, okay, leaves people searching for meaning. This could not be more true. Because many of these leftists, in fact, do treat their beliefs like a religion. And many religions are intense, very much cult-like. You have to remember, for them, it's a way of life. Many religions do see others that aren't like them as needing to be saved. And some of them see themselves as the chosen people, the chosen one. With many extreme leftists, this winds up being a case of moral superiority. Think about it, when your entire identity revolves around being a savior or seeing yourself as morally superior to everybody else, of course it's going to destroy you when somebody else doesn't validate you or validate your opinions. Also, you ever notice how the far left is mainly comprised of women? It's not an accident. Women are also way more likely to be indoctrinated and recruited into occults. Look at how many more women are claiming to be for Black Lives Matter or vaccine mandates compared to men. Remember, women are usually more likely to suffer from self-esteem issues. Thus, they're more likely to be on the hunt for a higher purpose, a deeper meaning. Thus, more likely to be indoctrinated by these groups.
I don't think the reason that people are drawn to this ideology in our generation and younger is because they're stupid. I really think it's, you know, I think it's because it sort of lights their soul on fire in a real way. And it sort of reminds me of just like any religious revival movement at the beginning, which is like it lights your soul on fire and then you want to go light other people on fire.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's a mutually exclusive explanation
I
at all.
agree.
So now that it's very obvious the types of people that cults tend to be comprised of, how can we prove that the far left is one? I got you covered. Been writing this video for quite a while now. The major criteria of cults. Ready for this? Here we go. They mesmerize you with their repetitive and loaded language and rituals. Remember all the repeat after us, trans women are women things that were going around lately? Yeah. They consistently change the meaning of words. They encourage uniforms.
Stay the fuck out of my sports and my restrooms too while you're at it. Yeah.
And yes, that does include hair colors and such. Bad haircuts, honestly. They constantly guilt trip you. Any attempt to dissociate from the organization or disagreement is met with violence. Friendships and relationships are threatened to be lost. They love bomb you all the time. They love bomb you. They isolate you from friends and family. I mean, look at all these videos of people that that harassed me after I left the cult. Needing permission from the organization to get married, have children, even associate with others. Remember when Ellen DeGeneres got a ton of shit just for simply hanging out at a football game with George Bush? Or how people on Twitter now have to say that following doesn't equal endorsement. Because people go absolutely nuts when you follow someone that they all disagree with. Or how you're only allowed to talk about black issues or women's issues or trans issues if you are those things. The group considers itself as elite and they demand your purity.
It's like these kids on the campuses who are claiming identity with the oppressed, at somewhere like Yale. It's like, how in the world you can speak of oppression if you happen to be at Yale is beyond me. I mean, first of all, you're North American, which puts you in the top 1%. And then of North Americans, you're in the top 1%. So you're in the top 1% of 1%. But yet you want that. You want to have all the power that goes along with that. And you want to have the moral superiority that comes from being a representative of the oppressed. So that's exactly what you want. You want all the power and you want all the victimization at the same time.
They control what is true and what is false. Hello, fact check.
They want to have their cake and eat it too. And unfortunately, at least for right now, we have lost our favorite Irishman, Shane. He is having technical difficulties with his phone. So I'm sorry. Maybe he will return. Until then, let's play.
They don't tolerate critical inquiry. And you're never allowed to question any beliefs. You simply have to go along with anything that they deem appropriate that goes along with their narrative or their cause. They fearmonger. And remember, fear is the foundation of most governments. This was a quote by John Adams a very long time ago. Think about all the things the people in power as of late have said to Democrats and progressives in order to keep them afraid of what might happen. They want to put y'all back in chains. They literally want to kill you. They want you dead. He's a white supremacist. And never forget, they deny the existence of members who left the cult. When I finally left the left in, 2020, a ton of people started making videos saying, you know what? She was never really on the left anyway. She was never a part of this. She was never with us. Girl, I see right through that now. I'm over it. I think this is one of the most important videos I've ever made. So if you have a second, please go and click the like button down below and share it. Super, super important information here. And go and check and subscribe if you haven't already. Also go and check out our sponsor, Eve's Toys. They have been sponsoring us for years. Love them. And other than that, I'll see you guys back.
Well, at least I appreciate her sentiment of pushing back on that said topic that we've been talking about tonight. And let's start to queue up and wrap things up. We've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 4 more videos. And then our outro. I want to thank everybody who's been hanging with me at all of this time in this very in-depth subject and on this series. We think it's a very important series that will spurg for quite a while and help people in the future. These are all issues that need to be dealt with. And with all of these online cults that have been going on and growing, and it's about time that there be some pushback on it. And I'm just the right type of a broad to do it. So here we go. Cult deprogrammer. Do you need to be deprogrammed today? Breaks down cults and in movies and TV. Let's get going.
Life. So I really don't want to say where I'm at, but hello. I'm Rick Allen Ross. I'm a cult deprogrammer, and I've been helping people escape cults since 1982.
Walrus asks me, Nova, how was Manson perceived in my neck of the woods? Well, when Manson was doing all of that, I wasn't born. So I don't know how that type of thing was in that time frame. California is pretty diverse and has a diverse bunch of people. In that time frame, you had a lot of strong hippie movements going on. And I would imagine there was sectors of it because obviously without without it being open in some regards. And also in Hollywood, he was very much affiliated with people in Hollywood. There was an actress who was pregnant, and I can't remember her name. So if anybody remembers her name, and she got, I think she was killed, and so was the pregnancy. And some people were not so sure that she wasn't a part of it and was actually using that unborn child in one of the satanic practices and whatnot. I do believe it's associated with Manson. I'm pretty sure it was. But as far as afterward, Manson wasn't really a big topic for me growing up. There were documentaries and whatnot made about him as I got a little bit older, but it wasn't a big thing. So I don't really know. With that, I will continue on.
Today, I'll be breaking down clips from TV and film about cults. This clip is from The Vow.
Our main emphasis, our main belief is to have people.
Yes. Thank you. It was Sharon Tate. Yes. Sharon Tate. Thank you.
Experience more joy in their lives.
What does it mean if you're integrated? You're joyful. And part of it was like, this is cool. This is a code to understand myself.
Anyone can be captured by a cult. I've deprogrammed 5 medical doctors. How does that happen? If you're in a position where you're isolated, you're alone, you're hurting, you're worried, and a group comes along and says, look, we've got the answers. We can help you. They've got to have something good. Otherwise, no one would be taken in by them.
Keith developed a model called rational inquiry. We refer to rational inquiry as a technology.
It was a process designed to produce quantifiable results.
The premise of rational inquiry, as presented by NXIVM, was that this is a panacea. This is a cure-all. You can make more money, be higher functioning. The problem with NXIVM is that wasn't all they were up to. They were breaking people down in order to change them. This is typical of what's called large group awareness training organizations, where they bring people together in a kind of seminar setting. And what we're talking about is a kind of process that goes on day after day after day. During this time, you are constantly with other NXIVM devotees. You're constantly hearing their jargon. You may not be getting enough sleep. You may not be eating right. You're kind of getting worn out. And at the same time, you're being subjected to a kind of inquisition in which the group expects you to cathartically divulge everything about yourself. What is your ultimate pain? All of this leads to a point of exaltation and a kind of epiphany. And from that point forward, you may be hooked.
In other words, they bombard you until you concede to everything that they are peddling at you. And let me get past this ad so I can play it more for all of you wonderful thoughties out there. Here we go.
Summer. First of all, when you watch Midsummer, it's a depiction of a kind of pagan, secretive, ritualistic cult. And this is really kind of overamped. But what's interesting about this clip that really resonates, that's real, is that the woman sees something terrible and she reacts to it spontaneously. And then what the group does is they encapsulate her and then they mimic her.
I feel like we're doing breathing techniques for giving birth right now.
And what they're doing by mimicking her pain is they're, in a sense, dismissing her. And she's no longer an individual. She's part of a collective. And what we see in that particular scene is as they're breathing in unison and voicing their grief together, there's a kind of rhythm to it. It can become hypnotic, and it can become mood altering, and it can be a trance-inducing process. And so this becomes a avenue of manipulation. And many groups will handle things in different ways, but the general pathway is to lose your sense of individuality, autonomy, critical thinking, your ability to analyze alone. Instead, you need to be dependent upon the group to experience this with you, to guide you in your perception of what it is that you're seeing. And that's what you're seeing in that scene. It's very real. Once upon a time in Hollywood.
So George gave you all permission to be here?
Of course he did.
And you all take care of him?
Oh, we take care of George.
Yeah, Charlie Manson had his cult, the family, out at Spa Ranch. And yes, there was a man named George at the ranch. But what's interesting about this clip,
Uncle Gunn says, my top of the screen highlights aren't showing up. Are they doing it now? Is it coming up now when I click you guys' comments? Let me know. And I don't know how to fix it if it's not, to be honest with you. Romano says, love, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Is it coming up now? Let me know.
this is how cult compounds function. People that want to visit someone that is under the control of the cult may find it very difficult.
Well, is there anything wrong with me saying hello to an old friend?
You can't see him right now.
Why can't I see him right now?
Because he's napping.
Excuses are made. Oh, they're away, they're shopping, they're busy. And the idea is to separate them and isolate them and keep them within the group control. What you see is this we-they dichotomy.
Okay. This is getting weird. I'm noticing a trend also within my own life on this one. And evidently, when I'm clicking all of your comments, and I have been doing so for quite some time, they are not showing up at the top. I don't know how to fix it. I'm sorry, but I am clicking your comments, and I will also be reading them. Self goes, a night at Daniel Romano's.
Where we are the elect, we're the group, and outsiders are really not welcome. The way that the women confronted Brad Pitt, the way they all looked at him, and their body language, it's very typical of many cult groups in that it illustrates their
Welcome in, Sean Weiland.
Single-mindedness.
An old-time mod friend.
And that they're reinforcing each other. Charlie Manson weaponized women to kill people. And
Relentless, I haven't seen you around in a minute, girlfriend. How are you? Thank you so much for giving me a sub and a like. I appreciate you.
They could be ferocious. So yes, there were women that would serve as guards, and then they would do whatever he wanted them to do. Charlie says,
Well. What do we have here?
Gypsy said Leslie would be happier with you.
Gypsy, my baby Gypsy.
What you see in this clip is this recruitment, this seduction process. You know, Charlie Manson was very charismatic. He could be very charming.
Today is Relentless's birthday. I'm glad you're having a wonderful birthday, Relentless. Happy birthday to you. I guess I could sing the Marilyn Monroe rendition for you, but I don't think that would be your style.
He could seem so in the moment, so spontaneous. But in reality, everything was very carefully planned by Charles Manson.
Be my mirror.
The mirroring exercise is just to basically get her to let him take charge.
Where did you find her?
She was hanging around my harem for a while.
Beautiful brother Bobby. He really knows how to make love to the girls. That's what they'll tell me. Sadie's made love to Bobby, right?
I guess we all made love to him at this point, huh?
Sex is being used as a lure. Cults do this all the time. There have been a number of groups, like Children of God, that would do what they called flirty fishing.
Gypsy told me all about you and
Interesting fact about the Children of God I do. Correct me if I'm wrong, Self, but I do believe that Rose McGowan, Joaquin Phoenix, and who was it? Who else was it? Well, obviously his brother, River. But there was somebody else that was in it, and apparently were abused as little guys. So
I can't take Charlie. I think we should let her stay. She digs us and she's hungry.
She's caught up in this idea that this is a privilege. This is a wonderful thing that this group is offering her a place.
You like her, you teach her. You keep an eye on her and you see if she belongs with us.
You don't want new members talking to new members. You want a new member talking to someone who's very experienced, he can rely on, that will bring this person in deeper.
Then you can stay.
I don't think in this film that you can see the intensity that Charlie Manson really had. He had a way of looking at people that was so intense, hypnotic, really. Waco.
This morning I woke up with this funny feeling right here in my gut. Then I realized what it was. Joy.
I think they've captured the charisma of David Koresh. He was a very charismatic, very convincing, compelling leader. What you're seeing is how he can be self-deprecating, humble, and that people are taken in by this. He made such extreme demands on people for husbands to give up their wives, for wives to have sex with him, for mothers to give him their minor children. And I think if he had been less demanding, but as charismatic as he was, he would have had a much larger following.
You got your law degree from Harvard. Was that enough for you, Wayne?
Nope. I think what David Koresh is showing you in this particular scene is our notions that intelligent, sophisticated people would not fall prey to a cult are mistaken.
Steve, professor of theology. You lived with your wife, Judy.
Now, Murdoch, who who pushed different types of things and got arrested for it, targeted the wealthy, targeted those who are very sophisticated. I would say that the very sophisticated are some of the easiest ones to target, to be quite frank.
In paradise on the beach in Hawaii. Enough?
Not even close.
Not even close.
He's used.
Welcome in, Stephen. We've missed you. Thank you for showing up.
Using these examples of these people to glue them in to the compound. Are you questioning my understanding of the Bible? How can you do that if Steve doesn't do it? They don't see it as I have given up everything for the leader. And I speak as someone who deprogrammed 2 Waco Davidians. You have no idea how total their commitment was. They were literally willing to die for him. And of course they did in the end. The master.
Excuse me. Some of this sounds quite like hypnosis. Is it not?
This is a process of dehypnotization, if you will. Man is asleep. This process wakes him from his slumber.
The master is loosely based on the history of L. Ron Hubbard and the Church of Scientology. When the man questioning him says, it looks like hypnosis, isn't it hypnosis?
Yes, Romano is correct. They're all Ponzi schemes to a degree, too. Yes, and Murdoch went to jail for that, obviously.
The most obvious explanation is yes.
Unfortunately, I could say our government's committing all types of Ponzi schemes. Nothing's happening there.
Yes, it's hypnosis. So this is really opening up the hood and seeing the mechanics of how the master really manipulates people.
You've also said that these methods, cause methods, can cure leukemia, according to your book. And
some forms of leukemia. In being able to access past lives, we are able to treat illnesses that may have started back thousands, even trillions of years.
If you make a claim that cannot be proven, but it doesn't require me to do anything, like you say, Santa Claus is real, it's your belief, fine. But when you start asking me for money, and you start asking me to believe you and support you and do volunteer work for you and everything, I have a right to ask, how do you prove that?
I find it quite difficult to comprehend, or more to the point, believe that you believe, sir, that time travel hypnosis therapy can bring world peace and cure cancer.
I have never been to the pyramids. Have you?
No.
And yet we know that they are there. Because learned men have told us so.
Self says, Santa isn't real. My night is ruined. I didn't know he wasn't real. Thanks for just ruining my Christmas too. Thanks.
You really want to watch.
I'm just kidding.
That. Did he answer my question or did he evade my question? Is he using tactics on me, being belligerent, being angry with me because he doesn't want me to stay on topic and continue to ask these questions? All of these are strategies that cult leaders use.
Oh, this isn't a discussion, it's a grilling.
I'm sorry you're unwilling to defend your beliefs in any kind of rational.
Oh, if you already know the answers to your questions, then why ask?
What you see in The Master is that in the 1950s, the same dynamic, the same methodology is being used by this leader as is being used by Keith Raniere in the present day. The leaders' names change, but the game doesn't change.
At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does.
Whoops. Let's get past this commercial. Is everybody enjoying our education on cult leaders tonight? Let me know. A lady likes to please.
The Handmaid's Tale. This woman giving birth is not an individual act. It's a group experience. What we see are all of these very intensely indoctrinated people that have accepted the group narrative of what's happening. And for them, this is reality. What we think is crazy, the group sees as reality. I see Elizabeth Moss, her character, as being very similar to many people today living in North Korea. Even though she isn't a true believer, she's kind of caught up in the rhythm of it. These people do not have a sense of individual identity. They're merged. They all look the same.
Alfred, would you like a cookie?
A cookie?
Yes, please. Thank you.
They know that things are not the way they're being portrayed by the great leader. But they've learned that if you're a dissident, you will be imprisoned, you will be executed. There's a book, Influence, written by Robert Cialdini, and Cialdini lays out 6 basic principles of influence, and one is what is called social proof. And that is that we rely on the feedback of people around us to understand what is real and what is not real, and to know what to do and how to react. And so what happens in a cult is that the social proof is controlled by the group. And so, if you will, it's a false social proof, but it's very powerful. Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene.
Martha, what's wrong? I don't know. I should go back. Go back where?
This film is the gold standard for any movie about cults. It is the most realistic depiction of what a cult would be like and the difficulty in...
Daniel's asking me what kind of cookie. Now, I have a really good recipe for, from scratch, by the way, a brown butter, chocolate chip, toasted pecan with a little bit of sea salt I put at the top of. I mean, I guess I could make that for all of you. Yes? No? Nut allergies? I don't know.
In leaving a group and the recovery process, she feels like many cult members that thinking of leaving is being a traitor, that I'm turning my back on God. She really hasn't.
So Trippy just came in and said, which, by the way, I've been told that my comments when I'm highlighting them are not working right now, so I don't know why they just stopped. He says, 200 subscribers at School of Thought. I told people that you would jump up and down when you heard. Why? Have I hit 200 subscribers now? Let's go take a little look-see. Let's see. Have I hit 200? Now, I'm not going to stand up because you won't see me. But Oh my God, I have 201 subscribers. All right. I will honor that, and I will do this. I'll go, yay! 200 subscribers. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate and I love you all. Mwah! Thank you. Let us continue on with the show.
Unpacked or sorted out what has happened to her. And she's been isolated from her family for many.
Brad Young, welcome in the house. He says, he was just hoping you would bounce up and down. And so I have.
Many months. These are all the emotions that real cult members feel as they walk away. Was it my fault? Am I to blame? But that is how the leader wants her to be. He wants to make it as difficult.
Okay, I'll full screen it in a minute. Nobody wants to see it twice, please.
As possible for Elizabeth Olsen to leave.
What happened? Are you okay?
I have to go. I can't stay gone, so
What are you talking about?
What she's really saying is the program is really strong. I have been deeply indoctrinated to believe that I have an obligation, a commitment to this group and this way of life. Holy smoke.
What am I looking at here? Prue? Who are these people in the photo? Ruth. That's Ruth. Oh my God, I didn't realize.
She's wearing a national costume.
This movie is dear to my heart. I worked on it. I was a technical consultant. Parents will often send me a picture of what their son or daughter looked like before, and then a picture after, and they look totally different. They may lose weight or they may gain weight. They have a group uniform. They don't even act like they used to. Their sense of humor is gone. And that's why they call what people like I do deprogramming, because it is the unraveling of the program that has been instilled by the group. It was once called snapping, in which people would have.
Walrus says, why not communicate with the folks that were in them? Wouldn't they be the most authoritative on it, giving their own personal takes on it? Yes, but I don't have all their information to reach out to every single one of them right now. That takes a lot of time.
Have a sudden change. They would go from the cult personality to their own inherent personality, which had been suppressed and pushed down by the group experience. What we see in this scene is Kate Winslet's moment of conversion, and she's mesmerized. She is literally feeling the power of the guru. And when he touches her, she's going into bliss. And this is very reminiscent of Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh and his ashram in Pune, India. He called it massaging your third eye. In Lifton's book, Thought Reform and the Psychology of Totalism, what the guru does to Kate Winslet would be called mystical manipulation or planned spontaneity. He's gauging her. He can see where she's at. He deliberately does that, and it creates this anchoring, subjective feeling. You can talk about objective facts, but what do you do with these subjective feelings? She will constantly think, I felt the power of the guru. And that is my proof. That is my validation.
Screaming Beagle says, Nova is amazing. I won't be surprised when she hits 200K. It's a goal. I'm brand new. Thank you. I appreciate you and your words of encouragement.
And there's nothing that you can say to take that away from me. If you're sitting in a room and you feel like you're in a cult, maybe you are. And if you ask someone in the group, is this a cult? And they look at you and say, why would you ask if we're a cult? Why did you answer my question with a question?
My dad used to say that to us all the time. Don't answer my question with a question, kid. Answer me. And so I repeat that behavior also. Yes. When people answer your question with a question, it means that they are dodging what it is that you're bringing up and the questions that you're asking. So buyer, beware. Okay. And let's see. The next video is I escaped a cult after 28 years from this morning, it says. And I am going to get that queued up for you. And hopefully this will be entertaining also and insightful. And in a few minutes, I guess I will go full screen and do the yay, yay victory dance. So stay tuned.
It started with a very deeply religious family, didn't it? Your
Yeah,
parents were
but,
Catholic.
Yes, very ultra-religious Catholic in a sect that has since become an open cult all around the world.
Uncle Gun says, bolted to a chair with sodium, what does that say? Panthenol? Panthenol? Ask me how I know. I'm asking, how do you know? Tell us.
World. And then when I left home when I was 18. And
You
then
were married at 18?
I was 18 and a half when I got married. So I left home at 18. I felt directionless, lost, had no self-confidence or self-esteem. And so I just kind of fell.
Get him young and dumb.
Fell into it and got married.
So this man you married, you were 18, he was 31. You knew him from the church. He'd done some homeschooling with your family.
Yes.
Did you genuinely fall in love with him, or was he kind of chosen for you?
Well, I know it's hard for other people to get their head around it, but there was no romance, there was no dating. It just happened, because you've got to think that I had no girlfriends, I had nothing to measure it by.
So you weren't allowed to look at teen magazines or television, so you didn't even really know what love or marriage was supposed to be.
That's it, I didn't. And see, even in writing my book, I've since discovered that
Uncle Gun says, Red Star, California desert underneath the airplane boneyard. Are you from California, Uncle Guns?
I didn't love him because I didn't know what love was. It was an attachment.
And was in that community, in that cult, the men were very much in control, in
Absolutely,
charge. What were you
yes.
told a woman's place was?
A woman's place is in the home. A man is the head of the house. He basically takes God's place on earth, and then the woman just is subservient and just brings the children
except
to
there
world.
was one woman.
Oh my God! Did you just hear that? The man is the head. He's next in line, or is the reflection of God's image, not the woman. Even though clearly it says that he made he and she them in God's image, and the woman is subservient. Does that sound like any of the online spaces today? Does that sound like many of the manosphere talking points? We're getting to the crux of it all. Hopefully next time we start doing this type of stuff, I'll have more money and I'll buy some candelabras and put them behind me for some ambiance. Wouldn't that be cool?
Who was very prominent in your life, and that was your mother.
Yes.
Did you ever look at your mother and think, she's odd?
You got to remember that if that's all you know, you don't think that, because you don't have anything else to.
Sonoma County. I love Sonoma. By the way, it does get rather warm there at different times. In Stanislaus County. Not too far from you. What is that, about 3.5 hours?
Gauge it by. So I didn't like, all I knew was that when I left home and I got.
Welcome in, Bandit. We were wondering where you were. We missed you.
Married, I didn't want to bring my kids up the way I'd been brought up. And ultimately, that's what in the second cult, the Doomsday Cult, I wanted a better life for my kids, and come hell or high water, I was going to do it, even if I didn't know how I was going to go about it.
So explain to me this idea. People will find it hard to understand. How are you cut off? How is it a cult? How come you can't mix? How come you can't get your hands on a phone or get on a bicycle and cycle down to the local village or whatever it happens to be? Just explain to me where you were physically located. How did that work?
Well, when I grew up with my parents, we were on 20 acres, half an hour outside of a large town. And Mum filtered everything because we were homeschooled. We had no TV, no papers, no magazines, and Mum filtered everything. So you only know what's there. I'm the eldest of 9 kids, so there was just me and my 8 siblings, and that's all you know. And then you go to church on Sundays and you just believe what you're told. That's just the way it is. And so then when I moved out of home and moved to Melbourne, I just didn't know what to do. I was very socially naive. I had no
what
idea.
What was your mother afraid of? I mean, was she in love with your father, or was she in love with Jesus Christ?
She was more in love with Jesus and what he wanted, because basically she would love us as long as we did all the right things according to the
Claire, when you made the break, how on earth did you acclimatize or assimilate to the world that was out there? Because this must have been an immense shock.
Well, you've got to think that I was 36 years old and I'd never owned a pair of jeans. I'd never worn a bikini. I had never dated properly. So all this was new and it was very difficult, but I did it one step at a time.
And you had 8 children.
8 children. So I actually dated with 8 children, you know.
Frightened Ninja Turtle says, hello to the sexiest woman on YouTube. Welcome in. And you know what? Flattery will get you everywhere.
Know what I mean? That was my first experience.
I mean, did you virtually have to escape? Like, did you run in the middle of the night, or was it a gradual thing? Who helped get you out of that cult and into a normal life?
Well, what happened was that I asked too many questions. They were to do with Catholicism because they were forcing us to live by the rules of the Catholic Church under pain of sin and guilt and judgment.
But what does the Catholic Church think of this cult?
Well, they're a breakaway, so the Catholic Church condemned that cult.
Yes, yeah.
But so I started asking too many questions. I was just saying, well, you're making us live like this and you're doing this. So how is that allowed? And they didn't like me asking questions. So we ended up by getting evicted by the local sheriff who knew the whole place was a cult. And it wasn't traumatic. Like, people think it was traumatic, but honestly, the kids and I wanted to move and we were so happy.
And it was that sheriff who explained to you, you can go and rent a house. You don't have to stay here. So he made you see that there was a life out there.
Yeah, well, he had mortgage repossession papers because the cult leader stopped paying the mortgage on the house. So it was a mortgage repossession. So we were forced to go anyway. But I said to him, look, I am so happy. I am so glad. Tell me what to do. I'll do it.
Anyway,
Claire, final question. I mean, 30 years locked away or living in isolation like that. Can you really just come out with 8 kids and think, oh, that was that. Now let's start afresh with something else? I mean, are you bitter?
Bitter? No.
Angry?
No, I'm not.
Sad?
Look, when I initially came out, there was a few months later I felt a bit angry that I'd had all these years stolen from me. But then when I looked around and I saw older women that were in their 50s and 60s only just coming to realise that they need to turn their life around now, I was thinking, you know what? I'm so glad I'm 37. I've had all my kids. Now I can explore. We can do it together as a family.
What's the best thing now of this free life that you have?
I live without guilt. I live without sin. I live without judgment. And, I married my English husband. I imported him because I wasn't happy with the Aussies.
You stayed for the sunshine. You stayed in Australia.
Did you hear what she said? She wasn't happy with the Aussie men. I've known a few Aussie men. Some of them are kind of jackasses. Other ones are quite charming. Could you imagine being in a cult for that long, being brainwashed for that long, and then only coming to the other side of your life going, huh? What the hell did I just do? I wasted all that time. And now she's happy that she's at least only 37 coming out of it, and she gets to explore with all the other women or whoever else has decided that they are done with being brainwashed. That is horrible. It's absolutely horrific. At least she found a way out of it. And thank you, Frightened Ninja, for being here. Please like and subscribe and come back again. We're going to be covering all kinds of topics, more on this type of thing, men's health, and other wonderful talking points, relationships, and more.
Really a bit important to him.
Yeah, that's right.
And do you feel now valued as a person, as a woman? Your opinions are taken notice of?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hello.
Did you catch that? She said, I finally feel valued. My opinion finally matters. And in the online spaces for men on this one, they do not value women's opinions. And I noticed when a certain somebody got married and his wife was still podcasting, even in the very inception of just weeks and months of being married, she started complaining, I'm having a hard time with all of this red pill and accepting all this change. I like things in a certain way and I'm used to things in a certain way, and he's always trying to change things on me and blah 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 blah. And basically she was saying my opinion doesn't matter and I no longer feel valued. I no longer feel like I matter in the relationship. And that is a recipe for absolute disaster. You can't do that, because once either side starts to feel like they are unvalued and that they don't matter, including their opinion, that's when people start going, I don't want to do this anymore. So remember that your spouse matters. Let's queue up the last of the three. And this one is, I grew up in a cult. I was heaven and hell. By Lilia Taralwa. I don't know what that is. Maybe. And let's go.
I grew up in a valley on the west coast of New Zealand's South Island. Imagine the wildest, most beautiful valley you've ever seen. Lush bush that merges from foothills into fertile farmland, cut through by pristine rivers that snake down from the Alps above, and a lake that sparkles like polished glass while rainbows write colour in the sky. I grew up in the glory of our Christian community, 500 men, women and children, living together and following the doctrines of Jesus Christ. My grandfather was my hero because he brought us to this land and founded the community I loved.
She has great skin, by the way. I just wanted to point that out. I can appreciate good skin. She's got it.
2 farms on either side of the river was a smart move for our group. We migrated from the east coast and needed a livelihood. I arrived at 6 weeks old, strapped on my papa's back, to what would be home for the first 18 years of my life. My cousins and childhood friends were like brothers and sisters to me. We did everything together. Camping was one of our favourite pastimes. We snuggled in sleeping bags underneath the stars and cooked damper on campfire ashes. Now, earlier today, we were asked to recall our happiest childhood memory. My favourite is Celebration Day. Imagine the coolest party you ever attended as a child. My cousins, my friends and I would gorge ourselves on pink candy floss and drink way too much sugary soda. There were clowns on stilts, bag rides behind tractors, 3-legged races, and a plane that flew over to drop lollies from the sky. The men built us a hydro slide and a flying fox. And on these days, my granddad would decree a day off work for the entire community. So the women stopped working in the kitchen and the men came in off the farm for the festival. And it was all free. We didn't pay for it because we didn't earn wages. We didn't work for money. We worked for the lifestyle and for each other. The money we made in our businesses was kept in a communal bank account. That bank account built the hostels we lived in, put clothes on our back and food in our mouths. And I knew every single person in my community personally. Not only did I know them, but I knew their husband, their wife, their children and their grandchildren. We lived in communal hostels. We worked together. We went to school together. We prayed together. I was constantly surrounded.
It's like, what, looking at the Amish or the Mennonites, I guess.
By the people I loved most. And at night, I'd skip a couple meters to my cousin's room to socialise or play a deck of cards. I loved working with the other girls in the women's realm. I loved learning to sew, knit, spin, and cook. Music was one of my favourite hobbies. We were taught music in the first year of school, so by the time I was 17, I was competent on 5 musical instruments. Think for a moment about a time you achieved something really important. Remember how it felt? Remember how proud you were in the moment? It probably felt similar to the day I received my first school report. It was the most exciting day of my life as a 6-year-old. I'd scored excellent grades and even better personal comments from my school teacher. So you can imagine my excitement when my grandfather took the school report and read it to the 500 members of my community at dinner. And then he said, "We don't want women like you." My stomach dropped. I turned bright red. There was air being sucked in my nostrils, but I couldn't breathe. See, my school teacher had written in my report a sentence that read, "Lilia demonstrates leadership skills, which could be useful for when she's older." And my grandfather humiliated me for hours, and this would become a common theme throughout my life. Afterward, I left that dining room a changed 6-year-old girl. And what changed was my belief I was worth anything more than what he said.
Self says that Little House on the Prairie look, yeah. Mm-hmm. Did anybody else grow up watching Little House on the Prairie? I watched it off and on. It's a little boring though sometimes.
It was. And as a young girl, I spent the majority of my time with women folk. And because we home birthed big families, the sight of a pregnant belly made me feel at home. My mum grew up with 15 brothers and sisters. I have 9 siblings. I was 7 years old when I saw a newborn baby for the first time. I took the scissors with both hands and snipped the umbilical cord. My cousin was born blue because the cord was strangling him. So after saving him, the midwife did a trauma assessment with me because I was 10 years old at the time. I held my aunt's hand when her next girl was delivered on a mattress in the back of a van on way to the nearest hospital.
Sorry.
So when you're living in this area,
Something about that show that Self is constantly talking about, queer as folk, you know, like I think that was his favorite show. He says it all the time. He's gonna get me.
My mum was the leader of all the women and ran the entire domestic realm of Gloriavale. I wanted to be just like her when I grew up.
Frightened Ninja Turtle says, will you read me a long book? Yeah, why not? Pick the book. Maybe I'll read a novel one of these days for everybody. Or children's books, who knows?
Grew up. Her job was demanding, and because Dad was often traveling for business, she needed help raising the children. So I changed dirty nappies, potty trained, climbed out of bed in the middle of the night to rock them back to sleep, cleaned up spew, knitted them warm clothes, and helped wean them off breast milk. I couldn't wait to grow up and marry a man and have his babies. My girl cousins and I talked about it a lot. So it was a really exciting day for me.
That's okay. Growing up and wanting to be a wife and a mother is perfectly fine and normal. But some of us do not want our vaginas to be a clown car, okay?
When I turned 12,
That's a
I got
lot.
my period because I could finally fulfill my purpose in life. And by the time I was 14, I knew who I wanted to fulfill that purpose with. His name was Willing. It would be a worthy marriage. I was the granddaughter of the church founder, and he was a son of Fervent, one of the church leaders. Then one day I was sitting in class.
Romano, how do you read ASMR when it's just sounds? Just no real reading, right? It's just sounds. Just saying. I'm being a shit.
When Fervent bolted the door, dragging Willing by the shoulder. Willing had been disobedient. I don't remember what he had done. It could have been that he combed his hair the wrong way, spoke back to his father, listened to music he wasn't allowed to listen to, or read a book he wasn't allowed to read. It didn't matter. The punishment was the same. Willing was ordered to bend over and pull down his pants. And my stomach rolled when Fervent pulled out the leather belt. We were then told to watch as Fervent beat Willing with it. And I refused to look. Instead, I stared down at my desk and whispered, please, God, make it stop. Please make it stop. And that,
I don't know, but it sounds to me like somebody has a sexual fetish going on over there. Okay? So, got some kinky ass people over there running that thing.
moment, my respect for Fervent's leadership imploded. I knew what he was doing was wrong. They taught us so much about the love of God, but as I watched Fervent beat his son, I thought that's not love, and it wasn't love. Even though after Fervent had finished beating his son, he hugged him and told him he loved him. That's not love.
But I'm doing this for your good. Don't you know? That's love. I'm doing it for your own good. Or the other one is, but you made me do this. Anybody ever heard that before? I have. It's your fault that I'm doing this to you and that I'm acting this way. Mm-hmm.
I became suspicious of the laws we were being taught. Spare the rod, spoil the child, the leaders said. My blood boiled when one wife brought her child to me and showed me the blue welt on the toddler's back. I gritted my teeth. How can anyone call themselves a Christian and treat a child that way?
Now, for those who actually know me, and you try to do that with me around, you'd find yourself with your ass on the floor. Yeah, try it.
How can any parent treat a child that way? My friend Jubilant wasn't spoiled. He was born into one of the least privileged families in our society with no connection to leadership circles. He was the jokester of our class, always saying witty things to make us laugh. Imagine your brother, one of your children, your nephew, a niece, your daughter, the one who makes everyone laugh, the clown. That was Jubilant. And one day at soccer, Jubilant made one too many jokes. And when our teacher Nathaniel began to punch and kick him, my stomach rolled again. The game froze and we looked on horrified, and I thought Nathaniel would stop. But he didn't. He forced Jubilant to walk from the soccer field to the main building, all the while punching and kicking him. And Jubilant was sobbing, raising his hands to shield his head from the blows. And I thought,
thanks for making me watch this one. I appreciate that.
Surely Nathaniel will be dismissed as our school teacher. But the next day, he was back in the classroom with us. And I thought, what's wrong with the people running this place? I don't want to have children here. Not wanting children was a sin. It was forbidden. My best friend Grace was an unwanted child. Her mother had given her up at birth, and her adoptive parents shipped her from the US to our community, hoping that good influence would set her straight. Excuse me. She was a chocolate-skinned Mexican girl who arrived in Gloriavale when she was 13, just 3 years older than me. I loved that girl more than life. She giggled lots and made me feel safe. So we became best friends and spent as many moments as we could together. Now, Grace brought
disgraceful and horrible.
Personal possessions from the outside world. Music, jewelry, makeup. These were forbidden, and seeing them for the first time made Grace all the more special in my eyes. Her rebellious spirit inspired me.
Now, if you recall, in the beginning of all of this, they talked about how severe punishment is executed in all of the cult tactics to keep all of the people in check and into submission, including, if need be, beat them into submission, including children. Well, where's somebody to beat them?
Over the years, Grace would be punished many times because she refused to be controlled. She was 20 when she came to me and told me the leaders had ordered her marriage to a man she didn't love. She was sobbing, trembling. Tears are streaming down her cheeks. In desperation, she packed her bags, hidden them under a tree, called a friend on the outside to come rescue her, but she was discovered. Taken before an inquisition of 20 men seated in a small room.
Gee, no alarm bells going off there, huh?
Condemned. Forced to confess she was evil. Forced to phone her outside family and say she didn't want to leave anymore. And I thought, fuck them. No one tells my best friend what to do. So I wrapped my arms around her and I said, don't listen to them. You do what you believe is right. Thankfully, her adoptive parents came through. They phoned Gloriavale and threatened to send in the police if Grace wasn't allowed to leave.
Thank God. Finally, somebody with some brains and some scruples. The only time... Yes, get the authorities involved, please. Yes, do that.
The next day, she was gone.
Shane is back.
In
Welcome
Canada.
back, Shane. If you want to join me, come back in.
Excuse me. After this incident with Grace, I knew I had to leave too, or I would be forced to marry a man I didn't love. And I knew I had to take my little sisters with me, or the same thing would happen to them. I had one foot out the door already. When I was 11, my oldest sibling ran away. When I was 13, my next oldest sibling ran away. When I was 17, my younger brother threatened to leave. I didn't know it at the time, but my parents were ready to leave too. But they couldn't bear the thought of losing another child. They were waiting for me to come around so we could stay together. After what happened to Grace, I was ready to go. I left Gloria Vale with my entire family less than a year after Grace had. And after I left the cult, I became obsessed with learning everything I could about human behavior because I thought if I can understand myself and others better, I can protect myself. I can make sure no one ever takes advantage of me ever again. And as I wrote the story of my life in a religious cult, I realized the leaders of Gloria Vale used cruel tactics to control and manipulate me. They began by using shame to degrade me in front of the people I loved. It started with my grandfather publicly disgracing me for my 6-year-old report card. His actions sent a clear message of who's in charge. We all knew what would happen to people who dare question authority. But it didn't end there. They began using guilt to degrade my self-worth. When I was a child, they told me every day I was a worthless sinner.
Yes, telling small children that they're worthless sinners. No, they were born into a world of sin, and that doesn't make them a sinner. Not yet. Until you become the age of accountability, that's how it works.
It was my fault. I was evil. I was the one to blame. When people treated me badly, I thought I deserve it. I struggled to think correct for myself because I was always second guessing. What if it is my fault? What if I am to blame? Now, they may have beaten me down, but they messed up when they mistreated the people I loved. My fury towards the injustices suffered by Grace, Jubilant, and Willing gave me the strength I hadn't been able to muster for myself. I couldn't stand by and watch someone I loved wrongly suffer. Love for others broke the chains that shackled me. But why was I willing to love them and not myself? Eventually, I realized that if I could learn to love myself the way I loved Willing, the way I loved Jubilant and Grace, the way I love my little sisters, then I wouldn't take anyone's bullshit. So I asked, what does it mean to love myself? What does it mean to love myself so fully that if anyone ever tries to shame me again, I am the first to stand up for myself? I don't have all the answers, but I've come a long way. And I've come to realize that my 6-year-old report card was bang on.
Oh my God, is this over now?
And my grandfather was terrified of strong women. I'm a strong woman. I'm a leader. Today I know my leadership skills are priceless. I use them to leave the church and find my own way in a world that honestly still scares the living hell out of me.
Okay, so let's just stop it there and then continue on to the next one here. Just a stupid bug flew in my face. Anyways, so that makes her a protective type. Okay, so usually strong women are extremely protective of those who are being in abuse situations. That's the reality. Usually. Hopefully it's not misplaced, but sometimes it is. Let's take a little look-see at the twisted case of Ruby Frank, everything that we know. Let's put it into presentation. And let's keep the chat moving if you possibly can. We will be coming to a close here shortly. Just bear with me. I am unfamiliar with this broad, just so you know. So we're going to learn this one together.
ever since I started vlogging was, but what if I wake up and my children are just staring at a wall all day and there's nothing to film? That is legitimately my biggest fear.
A woman who rose to fame on YouTube with her videos on parenting, childcare, and marriage is charged with 6 counts of felony child abuse. But how did we get here? What led to a young boy climbing out of a window and rushing to a neighbor for help? We're digging into the Ruby Franke case and her timeline from mom to vlogger to criminal defendant. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Well, her name is everywhere right now, Ruby Franke. And even if you've never seen any of her videos, you know who I'm talking about. It is all over the news. It's all over social media. We here at Sidebar, we have been heavily focused in trying to delve into this highly disturbing case as well. Now, Franke is, of course, the 41-year-old YouTuber mom who is now charged alongside her business partner, Jody Hildebrandt, with 6 counts of aggravated child abuse with respect to 2 of her young children.
Mercy.
When I weighed 300 pounds,
Mercy.
I made a sacred commitment that I was going to lose the.
All right, what happened? They shut the stream down. What should I do? Take it off the screen in stream. I did. I took everything off. I've moved on to something completely different. Is it not showing up? Let me know, because I've never encountered this problem before. So,
in fact, the boy had suffered deep lacerations. There was even evidence that he had been tied up. We're going to get to all that. But we should actually start from the beginning in order to understand how we got here. So, this is a full timeline of what we know so far in the Ruby Franke case with the family. So,
thank you,
Ruby
everyone,
Griffiths
for letting me know.
and Kevin Franke,
I appreciate
they
it.
married the first child back in 2000.
Let's welcome in Cubed again. I3 cubed. IC cubed? I don't know. Well, hi, welcome back. I'm glad to see you here. We were having a little bit of a mishap a second ago, but I guess we're back online.
3. Kevin had graduated from Utah State University for undergrad and then got his graduate degree from Brigham Young University in civil engineering. He went on to teach engineering at BYU as an associate professor. Kevin and Ruby are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They end up having 6 children together: Shari, Chad, Abby, Julie, Russell, and Eve. The family lived in Ivins, Utah. It's about 4 hours away from Salt Lake City. But then you fast forward to 2015, and Ruby and Kevin started a channel on YouTube called 8 Passengers. And the videos were all about their family and parenting and marriage and homeschooling.
I've never once forgotten.
You can't see the video now playing, even though I've played it. What am I supposed to do here? I am stopping and I am reacting. Why isn't this speed? It is speed up. It's at 1.25. They all were. They've all been 1.25s. Okay, well, what am I supposed to? You can't. Is it not playing at all? School of Thought. Share the video. I did share the video. It's on here. I'll do it again. Let's add Shane in also, welcoming him.
Hey, everyone.
And then here I'll reshare the screen. I clicked off everything else. And we've been on the twisted case of Ruby Franke. It's still not showing. I know. Well, I clicked it off. Is it showing now? You can hear it though. Oh, interesting.
I could hear it playing backstage, but
is it? Do you see it on the screen now?
Like,
yes.
forgetting to eat or forgetting to breathe.
I'm not going to rewind it back.
For me,
you could
like,
hear
at
it.
the camera and blogging. It's like I would never forget to do that.
Their channel became so popular, it eventually boasted more than 2 million subscribers.
I just felt the spirit tell me everything's going to work out okay. And then I had the thought, you need to share this too on your video. You need to let your viewers know that everything's going to be okay for them too.
All right, we want to thank Morgan & Morgan, the largest injury law firm in America, for sponsoring this video. Now I know what you're thinking, right? Lawyers, endless hours of confusing paperwork. Not with Morgan & Morgan, folks. Nope, they have completely modernized personal injury claim process. How have they done that? You submit your claim, your documents, and you talk to your whole legal team, yes, team, all on your phone, a team. I wonder what that's like. I can't even get anyone here to get me a coffee. Oh, and get this. You only pay them if you win. Yeah, there's no upfront fee. It's pretty amazing. It's no surprise. Over 3.
Oh my God. How do I get
Everything is sponsored now, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems to be. Where's my sponsorship?
Yeah. We want brand deals for Star.
We do. So
Oh,
I can
Miss
pay.
Nova.
I thank you. So I can pay everybody. I want to pay everybody. Thank you very much. All right. Let's
just show the day-to-day life of the family, from after-school sports
How many of you out there play tennis?
to cooking.
Is because if I decide I wanted a roast at the last minute, pork is really quick and easy. It does not take all day. It takes like about 30 minutes.
To haircuts.
Doug, is there anything wrong with the back of my hair?
Wrong?
Yeah,
No. That's the way yours.
it's horrible.
But did not come without its share of criticism and controversy. You see,